ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति सुपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता शिवशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकीम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरं योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचिं मम प्रसूक्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणां नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। जयदं सुहृदो पङ्गुर्मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पादाम्बुजो राधामदनमोहनो तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहृदावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्र सेतुं भजामहे भागवतस्वरूपं परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षीय क्षराय दे सर्वदा सर्वसेव्याय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुमे। गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदाले कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमो। हरे कृष्णा हरि ओम तत्सत। So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto, fourth chapter, 10th sloka onwards, right? 10th sloka, right?
Yes, Prabhu. 10.
सम्राट कश्यपा हेतु पांडूनां मानवर्धनां प्रायोपविष्टो गंगायान् अनादित्याधीरश्रियम्। स सम्राट कश्यपा हेतु पांडूनां मानवर्धनां प्रायोपाविष्टो गंगायाम् अनादृत्याधिराश्रियम्। के शिल्पा माता जी। शिल्पा माता जी।
Prabhuji, we were not able to see the screen. Now we can see. Okay.
Now it's okay.
Now it's okay.
सम्राट कस्य वा हेतु पाण्डूनां मानवधर्मः प्रायोपविष्टो गङ्गायामनादृत्य धीरास्तस्यम्।
Okay, जीवश्री माता जी।
सम्राट कस्य वा हेदो पाण्डूनां मानवर्धना प्रयोपासितो गङ्गायाम् अनाथ्रातिश्रियाम्।
Okay, शैलजा माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण। स सम्राट्स्य वा हेदो पाण्डवानां मानवर्धनः प्रायोपविष्टो गयान् अनादृत्य धीराश्रियम्।
Vivek Prabhu, translation please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. He was a great emperor and possesses all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. he was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death?
Haribol. He was a great emperor. About whom?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj, yes. He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulences of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of Pandu dynasty. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? So these questions are put forward by Shaunagadi Rishis. So what happened? Why did Parikshit Maharaj leave all the great opulences? No, he was enjoying a great kingdom. He had good subjects, he had good family, and he had a good kingdom with all opulences. So relinquishing all these things, why did he go to the bank of the Ganges to fast until death? So that's the question. Maharaja Parikshit was the emperor of the world in all the seas and oceans, and did not have to take the trouble to acquire such a kingdom by his own effort. It was, coming down hereditarily. It's not that he had to conquer it by fighting his enemies. He got it inherited from his forefathers, from the Pandavas. So he inherited it from his grandfathers, Maharaja Yudhishthira and brothers. Besides that, he was doing well in the administration and was worthy of the good names of his forefathers. So he was a good administrator, and all the citizens respected him because he was ruling the country for the benefit of all the citizens. So he was a good ruler. So he had a good name, fame, and he had all the opulences. But still, why did he decide to live and fast until death? Consequently, there was nothing undesirable in his opulence and administration. Then why should he give up all these favorable circumstances and sit down on the bank of the Ganges, fasting till death? This is astonishing. And therefore, all were eager to know the cause. So this is really surprising, astonishing. Now, when a person in his youth, enjoying all the opulences without any problems, suddenly he decides that he quit and go to the Ganges and fast until death. This is really surprising. Let's see what is further. 11. Namanti yat padanikedam atmana Shivaya hani dhanani satrva Kadam savira shriyamanga dustyajam Yuvai satotsrastum aho sahashubhi Namandi yat padanikedam atmana Shivaya haniya dhanani satvara Kadam savira shriyamanga dustyajam Yuvai satotsrastum aho sahashubhi. Okay, Kapil Prabhu, can you, or Mataji?
Can you go a little up, Prabhuji, for that Sanskrit?
Screen.
That's fine.
Yeah, yes. Namanti yatpadanikedam mana Shivaya haniyathanani satrava Katham savira tushjam yuve tatostasratu mahu sahasubhi.
Very good. Okay, Jiveshri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Nikedalpana Shivaya Haniya Danani Satrava Kadam Savida Sriyamanga Duscham Yuksheta Roštamaho Sahasubi.
Okay, and Shailaja Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Namanti yatpadanikedana Shivaya hani yadadani shatrava Kadam savira sriyamanga dustajam युवैशतोत्सृष्टुमहो सः सुभिः.
Kapil Prabhu translation, please.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu. He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength, and he possessed kindly opulences that were difficult to give up. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life?
Haribol. He was such a great emperor that all his enemies would come and bow down at his feet and surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. Even the kings of the other countries, enemy countries, they will come and surrender because they all know he is a very good ruler. He never does partiality. So under his kingdom, under his reign, everybody will be happy. They know that very nicely. So they were ready to even surrender to King Parikshit, such a noble king. And he will rule for their benefit, for their upliftment. So all are ready to surrender to him. He was full of youth. He's not in the old age. He's full of youthful age and strength. He has got prowess and he has got name, fame, and he has got that kind-heartedness. And he possessed kingly opulences. So his kingdom was full of opulences that is required to live nicely, harmoniously among the citizens that were difficult to give up. So if we have all the opulences at our command, okay, at our doorstep, at our disposal, why should we give up all this? There is no problem. There is no miseries at all. All are happy. So in such a situation, why a person should give up? And that too, even his own life. Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? There was nothing undesirable in his life. He was quite a young man and could enjoy life with power and opulence. So there was no question of retiring from active life. There was no difficulty in collecting the state taxes because he was so powerful and chivalrous that even his enemies come to him and bow down at his feet and surrender all wealth for their own benefit. Maharaja Parikshit was a pious king. He conquered his enemies and therefore the kingdom was full of prosperity. There was enough milk, grains, metals, and all the rivers and mountains were full of potency. So for a prosperous life, what all things are required? We want milk, grains, minerals, metals, and rivers, mountains. These are required. Okay? Everything is there. They had enough milk, grains, cultivation, agriculture. It was going nicely. And minerals. The earth, planet was happy because the kingdom was ruled by a pious king. So earth had no complaint. Okay. Previously, when Kamsa, Jarasandha, all were there, the earth was in miserable condition. So she went and complained to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, along with other demigods, went to Vishnu for a solution. So Krishna appeared. So after that, after the war, King Yudhishthira was enthroned as a king. And after Yudhishthira's departure, King Parikshit got inherited this kingdom. So both Yudhishthira Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj was emperor of this whole earthly planet. So the people, subjects were very happy. Everything was in abundance, like milk, grains, metals and minerals and rivers full of water, agriculture, cultivation, everything, even including the animals were happy. So materially, everything was satisfactory. Therefore, there was no question of untimely giving up. If there are any problems, okay, and if people are fed up, they want to leave everything and go for sannyas or vanaprastha. But that's not the case. King was in his youthful age, and the kingdom was flourishing. Everything was in abundance. The prajas, the people, the citizens were happy. Okay, favorable situation and youthful age, everything was favorable. But still, why did he choose to end his life? This untimely ending. Therefore, there was no question of untimely giving up his kingdom and life. The sages were eager to hear about all these things. So the sages gathered, especially who? The sages of Naimisharanya. Okay, because this is spoken by whom? Siddha Goswami. And questions asked by Shaunaka Adi Rishis. Okay, all the Rishis headed by Shaunaka. So the question, therefore, there was no question of untimely giving up his kingdom and life. The sages were eager to hear about all this. So they want a detailed description. Why did he, choose to end his life untimely? 12. Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana janah jivanti natmarthamasau parashrayam mumocha nirvidya udakkalevaram Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana janah jivanti natmarthamasau parashrayam mumocha nirvidya kudakkalevaram. Okay, Jiveshri Mataji.
Hare Krishna. शिवाय लोकस्य भुवाय भूते नाउत्तमश्लोकपरायणो जना जीवन्ति नान्मार्थ मनोपराश्रयम् मुमोज निर्विद्य कुदाकलेवरम्.
Okay, Shailaja Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण शिवाय लोकस्य भवाय भूतये यादुत्तमश्लोकपारायणा जना जीवन्ति न आत्मार्थमसौ पराश्रयं मुमोच निर्विद्य कुदकलेबरम्.
Okay, and Shilpa Mataji.
शिवाय लोकास्य भवाय भूतये य उत्तमश्लोकपरायणा जना जीवन्ति नात्मार्थमसोपराश्रयम् मुमुक्षु निर्विद्य कुतः कलेवरम्.
Okay, Kapil Prabhu, this translation please.
Those who are devoted to the cause of personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the Emperor Pariksit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body, which was the shelter for others?
Again, questions raised by the rishis. Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. So a good citizen, a pious king, live for the benefit of others. So they sacrifice their own lives. Okay, they sacrifice their happiness, but they want to see that the citizens are happy. For others' sake, they will rule the country. They do not live for any selfish interest. No, their personal interest, they will keep it aside. But they see that the citizens are enjoying the best. So even though the Emperor Parikshit was free from all attachment to worldly possessions, how could he give up his mortal body? Okay, we understand that he has no interest in any worldly possessions. He has no attachment to any name, fame, and position. But why is it he wanted to give up his mortal body, which was a shelter for others? Because of him, because of his very good ruling, the citizens were too happy. So if he ends his life, what will happen to the citizens? Okay. So he is going to put his citizens also into trouble or problem. Parikshit Maharaj was an ideal king and householder because he was a devotee of the personality of Godhead. So, any king who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Lord, he will definitely do good for the benefit of others, especially the citizens, for the country. He will not be like the present rulers. The present rulers, they are seeing their own self-interest. They want to fill their pocket. They want to take care of their welfare, their people's welfare. Okay. They are not interested in the welfare of the general public because that is not their agenda. The agenda is, they want to somehow live lavishly at the cost of others. So this is the present scenario. But in the olden days, the kings means they are representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the ruling also will be as good as the ruling of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Supreme Personality of Godhead is neutral, is equal to everybody. Okay. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. Samoham, I am equal to everyone. He doesn't discriminate. Oh, this is a rich person, this is a poor person, this is animal, this is human being, this is demigod. No, he doesn't differentiate. For him, all are his children. All are living entities. All are Atmas. So depending upon the external body, it doesn't discriminate. Similarly, the representative Supreme Personality of Godhead is also like that. He never discriminates based on color, caste, creed, possessions, and all. He doesn't discriminate. So a devotee of the Lord automatically has all good qualifications. So if he's a pure devotee, definitely he will imbibe all the good qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we're all the part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. No, so if we come to that category of pure devotee, definitely we will imbibe all the qualities of the Supreme Lord and will exhibit that. And the emperor was a typical example of this. So Parikshit Maharaj is a great example for this, because he was a good devotee, he was a pure devotee. So he was having all the qualities of the Supreme Person. He was ruling the country very nicely. All were happy. Personally, he had no attachment for all the worldly opulences in his possession. But since he was king for all the all around welfare of his citizens, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for his life, but also for the next. So since he was a pure devotee and his ruling was, very nice, taking care of the citizen very nicely, he was doing all welfare activities for the benefit of the citizens. And he was busy in the welfare work of public, not only for his life, but also for the next. Not this life, for the coming generation also. Now, we are also working, earning, and saving everything, not just for our enjoyment. We see that the coming generation also gets a portion of it, isn't it? We gather, we accumulate, we save for the coming generation also. So it is not that Parikshit Maharaj is only concerned about the present. No, he is foreseeing for the next generation also. The people who are going to come, the next generation. That is why it said, but also for the next. He would not allow slaughterhouses or killing cows. Okay, so that is what is going on nowadays. People are maintaining, the government is encouraging to open slaughterhouses left, right, and center. That's why the natural calamities are coming more and more. The innocent animals are being slaughtered for sense gratification, which he was not allowing. Because everybody, all living entities are children of God. Just like how we have the right to live, they too have the right to live in their bodies. They're also living beings. They're also Atmas. Unfortunately, they have a body lower than the human being. But doesn't mean that they don't have pain and pleasure. So that he did not allow slaughterhouses for killing cows, especially here it is mentioned killing cows. Okay, that is a most sinful activity one can do. Killing animals, especially the cows, on the top rung. So he was not a foolish and partial administrator who would arrange for the protection of one living being and allow another to be killed. Just like Prabhupada says, the parents have two children. One is very genius, very nice. The other one is handicapped. So will the father and mother ignore the handicapped child, telling that he's handicapped, I don't want him? No.
No.
Similarly, we are all the human being having higher consciousness. The animals are having lower consciousness. For the Father, Supreme Father, they're all same. He'll take care of everybody. Similarly, the representative of the Supreme Lord, who is the King, he also takes care of all the living entities, not only the human beings. He will arrange the protection of all the living beings. It's not that protecting one section of the society and killing the other section of the society. No. That is sin. Because he was a devotee of the Lord, he knew perfectly well how to conduct his administration for everyone's happiness. Men, animals, plants, and all living creatures. He was not selfishly interested. Selfishness is either self-centered or self-extended. Selfishness for I like the most myself, my body, then only others, wife and husband and children and parents and friends and other members of the family, society, like that it goes. So generally, the interest is for the self, priority. Okay? I want to protect myself first. Then comes the family, spouse, parents, children, goes like that, a priority. Okay. But the extensions, it goes to national level. First, myself, then family, then friends, society, and then national. That's why, we have that nationalistic, that what do you call, our idea, patriotism, nationalism. Okay, my nation, my land, my mother. What happens if we take birth in another country next life? What happened to this mother? We don't know, isn't it? Now I am in India. I'm patriotic Indian. Okay, I'm a nationalist. I like India. I'll stand for India. I'll fight those who fight against India. But the same me takes birth in, say, let's say in UK. With whom will I stand? India or UK? With different shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, with different shirt, means with different body. So these are all temporary. These are all temporary. Okay. Similarly, the animals, they have a different body compared to that of human. We have human body, they have animal body. Doesn't mean that we can discriminate and we can kill them. We can use for our sense gratification. They too are the children of Supreme Lord. We should respect them. They have life. They have pain. They have pleasures like us. We should not kill them for our sense gratification. We can live without killing them. We can harm minimum for our sustenance. Minimum. Even the vegetables, the trees, unnecessarily will not cut the trees, unnecessarily will not harm them. Whatever is required, we'll take for our sustenance. Now, we have been given a quota, as we have learned in our Isopanishad. Isavasim idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tektvena bhunjida magrida kasyadanam. Everything is owned by the Supreme Lord. He is the controller. He is the proprietor. He is the master. He is the enjoyer. And we are all his children, be it in human form or animal form or plant form or any other form. They're all Supreme Lord's children. And everyone has been given a quota for their sustenance. One is not allowed to, what do you call, encroach upon others' property. They are not supposed to take others' quota. We have been given our quota, just accept that quota and satisfy. Encroaching upon others' quota is just like trespassing to others' property. So we should know what our quota is. Our quota is vegetable. That also, whatever is required, we should take, except not beyond that. We should not destroy unnecessarily. Jivo jivasya jivanam. That's what the scripture says. One living entity subsists on other living entity for their sustenance. But what is the quota? It's also given. It's also given. Our quota is vegetable. We are not supposed to kill other living entities for our sustenance. Especially we are having higher consciousness. Animals can kill other animals and eat it. Why? Why it is allowed? Why not human being? Why animals can kill and eat? Why not us?
We have intelligence, but animals don't have intelligence.
Yes, animals doesn't have intelligence, higher consciousness, free will. These are all lacking. They don't have discriminatory power. They don't have higher consciousness. They don't have higher intelligence. They don't have free will. Because of that, whatever they do, there is no reaction. But since we have all this discriminatory power, higher consciousness, higher intelligence, rationality, all these things we have. So we are responsible and accountable for each and every action that we perform. Not the animals, not any other living entity. So that's why here Prabhupada says in the purport, in the kingdom of Parishit, he was not maintaining slaughterhouses. They were not killing unnecessarily. No himsa. It's a perfect ruler, following the injunctions of the scriptures. So all were happy. Yeah, he was not a foolish and partial administrator who would arrange for the protection of one living being and allow another to be killed. Because he was a devotee of the Lord, he knew perfectly well how to conduct his administration for everyone's happiness. Men, animals, plants, and all living creatures. All. Everyone were respected, irrespective of their outer covering. He was not selfishly interested. Selfishness is either self-centered or self-extended. Selfishness, first, as I told you, was for self, for me, then it extends to family, friends, society, nation, like that. So that is extended selfishness. Okay, I want to fill my stomach. Then my immediate priority is that my parents or the spouse or the children, I want to give them. How I got happiness, nourishment, I want my children or my spouse or my parents or other family members to get the same happy feeling. Then after that, the other extensions, like that. So this is self-centered and self-extended. So he was neither. He was equipoised. He had that equal vision among all. His interest was to please the supreme truth, the personality of Godhead. The king is the representative of the Supreme Lord, and therefore the king's interest must be identical with that of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord wants all living beings to be obedient to him and thereby become happy. So if we are obedient to the Supreme Lord's instructions, we'll be happy. If you are obedient to the government, we can live happily. Nobody will come and trouble us. If you are going against the rules of the country, then we'll be having some problem, isn't it? Definitely, there'll be inquiries, there'll be questions, will be put behind bar for not adhering to the rules and regulations. So one should be obedient to the laws, whether it is material laws or spiritual laws. Therefore, the king's interest is to guide all subjects back to the kingdom of God. So that is the primary duty of any pious king. His subjects, his citizens, should be shown the right path so that they progress gradually and attain the spiritual kingdom at the end of his life or her life. That is a responsibility of the king also, because king is the shelter for all the citizens. King is the shelter for all the citizens. So he has to guide the subjects, the citizens properly, so that at the end of this human life, they attain the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They don't have to take birth again in this material world. So under the administration of a representative king, the kingdom is full of opulence. At that time, human beings need not eat animals. There are ample food grains, milk, fruit, and vegetables so that the human beings as well as the animals can eat sumptuously and to their heart's content. Because the ruling was good, he was a pious king, everything was available abundantly. The human beings, the animals, all other living creatures, they had a good time. They did not starve, and they ate sumptuously to their heart's content. All living beings are satisfied with food and shelter and obey the prescribed rules. There cannot be any disturbance between one living being and another. Emperor Parikshit was a worthy king, and therefore all were happy during his reign. So the problem comes, so many living entities and limited resources. Then there'll be fight. Why it is limited resources? Because there is no proper ruling, there is no proper distribution. If unlimited resources, then there's no problem. There is no fight, there's no enmity. The resources will be scanty, or scarcity will come only because somebody wants to hoard it for their personal interest, self-interest. There is no proper distribution. Amass, okay, atyahar. That is what is happening in the present time. Even though it is not required, we will amass wealth and everything, whatever possible, we want to hoard it for ourselves. So others are deprived of. Okay? So a good king see that everyone is getting their quota. Distribution is done properly for everybody's satisfaction. So Emperor Parikshit was a worthy king, and therefore all were happy during his reign. So Parikshit Maharaj was a very, very pious king, devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, following the injunctions of the Vedas and ruling the country very nicely. So all were happy. So text 13. Tatsarvam na samachakshva prishto yad iha kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham snatam manyatra chandasad tatsarvam na samachakshva prishto yad iha kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham snatam anyatra chandasad. Okay, Shilpa Mataji.
तत्सर्वनाशमाचक्ष्व पुष्टो यादिय किञ्चन मन्ये त्वां विषये वाचां स्नायमन्त्यास्त्र छान्दसात्.
Okay, Hari Bol. and Jiveshri Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Tat sarvanah samchakshva prishto yet iha kinchana manyatom visaye vajam sanatam anyatra chandasat.
Shailaja Mataji. Shailaja Mataji, you are there? You're on mute. Okay, no problem. Vivek Prabhu, translation, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas. And thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you.
So the Shamanakadi Rishis are telling Siddha Goswami, we know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas. And thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put forward. So they're telling you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions. So whatever questions we have put forward, you can answer to that questions. That is a request. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Parvajakas. So the difference between the Vedas and Puranas, just like comparison is the Brahmanas and the Parvajakas. Brahmanas, we know the Brahmana. Brahma Janati idi Brahmana. Parvajakas, those devotees who goes from place to place and, inspire and instruct others for in Krishna consciousness, Parvajakas, to give knowledge and to make them devotees. So the Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Parivrajakacharyas, our learned preachers, are meant to disseminate transcend knowledge to one and all. Okay, so Brahmanas are those who does sacrifices as mentioned in the Vedas, but the Parivrajakacharyas or learned preachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. They don't sit in one place, they travel. Parvajaka Acharyas. As such, the Parvajaka Acharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas, who are meant for administering Vedic ritual. Now, although the Parvajaka Acharyas, traveling preachers, are not very well accustomed to chant the Vedic mantras, because that is not their field of expertise. Okay. Brahmanas are, because that is what they are doing, the rituals, they conduct rituals. So they have to chant the mantras properly with accent, with right accent and right meter. Parvajakacharyas are not doing any rituals, but transforming others into devotees. So yet it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. So one should not think that, okay, Brahmanas are great, not the Parvajakacharyas. Both have the respective role. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same and in different ways. They are one and different simultaneously. Like our Achinta Beda Abeda Tattva. Achinta Beda Abeda. They are one and different. One in quality, different in qualities. Here also, both the Brahmanas and Parvajakacharyas are one. Why one? Because the end result is one. Because the process is different. That's why one means the end result is one, but the process is different. So they are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same and in different ways. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihasas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhya Dina Sudhi that all the Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are emanation from the breathing of the Supreme Being. So we have discussed this many times before also. All the Vedas are coming from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Mahavishnu. The breathing, the Omkara, the Pranava, and the Vedas, everything emanates from his breathing. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with Pranava Omkara, and it requires some training to practice the metric pronunciation of Vedic mantras. So the Vedic mantras to pronounce, there are certain meters, okay? There are certain systems that we have to follow, we have to practice it constantly, otherwise we will not be able to chant. You know, if you have seen the children who are learning the Vedic mantras from the childhood, from the age of 3 or 4, maximum 5, they sit and chant continuously in the same tune, in the same accent, in the same meter. And over a period of so many years, they will be expert in chanting that mantras. So it's not easy. You have to practice a lot. So, but that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. So these are all Vedic literatures, but Shruti, Smriti. Okay. So all the Veda, it comes under Shruti. The Puranas come under Smriti. So it doesn't mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is less important than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas as stated before. Okay. So of all the Vedic literatures, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit. Just like if all the Vedas are compared to a tree, the tree has many parts, the roots, the trunk, the branches, okay, the flowers, the fruits. Which is the best part of it? The fruit. That Srimad Bhagavatam is considered the fruit of that Vedic tree. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already self-realized. And who is speaking this Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of the Vedic literatures? It is Sukadeva Goswami. Sukha means parrot. When the fruit is bitten by a parrot, that is the most sweetest. Similarly, this is coming from the lotus lip of Sukadeva Goswami. So it becomes more sweeter. Srila Siddha Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore Srila Siddha Goswami is following his footsteps. Whose footsteps? Sukadeva Goswami's. And therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with metric pronunciation. So that's why, if you have read it here and that, we know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portions of the Vedas. He is not expert in some portion of the Vedas, which is that chanting the Vedic mantras. Okay, he is not a Brahman who sit in one place and does rituals. For that, you have to practice this, constantly, continuously. So Siddha Goswami is not such a person. That is what here mentioned. That's why here mentioned, Srila Siddha Goswami is following his footsteps. Whose footsteps? Siddha Goswami. And therefore, his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with metric pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. It's a self-realized soul. It's not just a parrot is just repeating like that. Yes, that's also important. But at the same time, more than that is self-realization. Understanding the meaning of the mantras and living a life in accordance with that. That is more important than chanting the Vedas, Vedic mantras in the proper meter and accent. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. Okay. So the Parivajakacharyas and some of the devotees may not be able to chant the mantras properly because they are not practiced. They may not be knowing all the mantras, but doesn't mean that they are less important. They are actually better than those because they are self-realized. Prabhupada, when he brought his disciples, Western disciples to India, some of his god brothers criticized Prabhupada, telling that your disciples, they are not good in the pronunciation of Sanskrit slokas. Their accent is not good, their meter is not good, and the pronunciation is good. Prabhupada said, yes, I know that their pronunciation is not good. They are not good in chanting the Sanskrit verses. They are born in a different land. They have a different way of life and everything. Unlike Indians, we have some Vedic upbringing. But their pronunciation is not good, I know. But their renunciation is good. That is what Prabhupada said. Okay? You don't go after pronunciation. They are self-realized. They are more realized than we Indians are. Whatever I say, they are ready to accept. They are ready to follow. We are not ready to accept our gurus because we'll question, why? Why should I follow? Why should I do this? Why should I do that? But here, they may not be having a correct, right pronunciation, but their pronunciation is better than we so-called Indians. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Text 14 is next week. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta kodi vaishnavadi ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Go Premanand.